tdcfcib.com for more information.
Got itchy palms? That's a sign money could be coming your way with Scratch and Win from Caribbean Lottery. It's the easiest way to win instantly. No waiting, no fuss. With tickets starting from just $2 up to $20. Win over $35 million in prizes. The higher the price, the bigger the prize. So scratch today for your chance to win up to $200,000. Available at Caribbean Lottery agents island-wide. Must be 21 years and older to play.
Let TDC Financial Services help you go for your goals. Whether you're thinking of taking that grand vacation, down payment on a house, higher education, TDC Financial Services has various plans that will allow you to go for your goals. Choose from the Accumulator Plus, Investment Starter Plan, and Fixed Deposit. Ready to go for your goals? Visit us at TDC Financial Services, where money is made easy.
Welcome to Island Tea with your faves. Keep it locked in with us for your daily dose of hot tea only on WINN Media 98.9.
Good morning, and welcome to today's edition of Island Tea. It is the 18th of March, 2025. And to start off today's, well, first, let me say good morning. So, good morning to the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, the regional and international diaspora. To all of you joining us, welcome. Yesterday, we didn't get to touch this news, but I want to start regional today. And this news concerns the 9-year-old. I'm sure most of us in the Federation is aware of it. That was kidnapped and then murdered. And she was murdered by a 20-year-old, and remember, it's alleged, it's accused, although the 20-year-old has since been charged and remanded, and her remand not only isolate, or she's not being put in His Majesty prison for safety reasons, but she is being segregated in a prison that people in Antigua are somewhat saying it's like a hotel. It's not like 1735. And apparently she is a native of the Dominican Republic. Well, not apparently, she is. It is said that she was arrested last November for not having time in the country. She was then given an extension and released. And now this has happened. So she is in custody awaiting trial. There's an article from Real News Antigua, and it says, murders accused, isolation and immigration status are cause of upset for locals. Angela Mejia, the 20-year-old who has been charged with the murder of primary school student Chantal Crump, made her first appearance. That's yesterday in the St. John's Magistrate Court. I know when I was watching some video on Facebook, I see they had it blocked off. It had police presence because days before that, they were all picketing in front of the police headquarters. The acting commissioner of police came out. He had a talk with them. He's from the same area that Chantal's from. That's Grace Farm. He vowed to fight to bring justice. I know people were chanting the death penalty. People were upset. They were frustrated. Her dad and her sister was there. Her dad was still sobbing. I could only imagine how they felt. It says she has been remanded to prison, specifically isolation, says sources, although they were unsure of press time whether it would be at the Coronation Street facility, commonly known as 1735, His Majesty Prison, or at Coolidge. That decision, reportedly made for the prisoner's safety, has sparked debate as the Coolidge accommodation has been likened to a hotel, as I said earlier, in comparison with 1735, given the strong feelings and threats being voiced by angry residents since last week. When Mejia was first questioned, the authorities supposedly fear the accused could come to harm at His Majesty Prison, hence the stipulation that she be isolated. However, some people tell Real News they are unhappy that the alleged murderer is being given such consideration. Where was Chantal's protection? A grandmother asked bitterly. In the meantime, other concerns are being raised about Mahia's presence in Antigua and whether she has connections that have kept the Dominican Republic native there. Information sources tell Real News that Mahia had been arrested in November last year, reportedly for a fighting incident at Abais, and it was discovered that she had no legal time in the country. Therefore, sources claim she was sent to the immigration detention center at Coolidge. Despite this, sources add Mahia was released, and on November 15th, given an extension of time, which expired on February 13, 2025, just about a month before the abduction of little Chantel. Three angry sources are calling on Attorney General Sir Steadroy Benjamin to explain why the murder accused was not deported after she was handed over to the Immigration Department. Now look at what has happened, one person said accusingly. Meanwhile, other residents say they are fearful that if Mahia is ever sent to Coolidge, she could disappear from that location from which so many persons detained by immigration have escaped without ever being found on island, and where significant commercial activity is now being carried on. One person believes that Mahia has been remanded to isolation because it speaks London Bridge will tumble down, the woman predicts. Because if she speaks, London Bridge will tumble down, the woman predicts. So I guess this person's thinking there's something sinister. They're more accomplices to this particular crime.
I don't know. It was surprising for me to see a lady, involved in such a. If it is true, if it is true.
Yeah, as we said, alleged.
It is. I couldn't. When I saw this beautiful young Nubian lady, I said, "Wow." I
The
mean,
darkness behind the look, huh?
yeah, I couldn't believe. It speaks to the age we're in, because I've heard the police say a lot of the times that even with the gang-related things that women are deeply involved in them, and sometimes women are even the leaders of some factions, so.
Yeah.
But it took me off guard, really. I didn't expect. I was looking to see some grisly.
Yeah. But it's not a guy this time. And I was also hearing that she has two daughters of her own. So I'm wondering what that little child could have done. And then I also heard, remind you, this is hearsay, may not be true, but she would normally go to the school and offer the kids candy and stuff. Because I'm like, why, if Chantel was walking home with two other friends, why Chantel? Why not the two other friends? And Chantel would have had to known her or be familiar with her to go in the car, because I don't think if she was that close to home.
Chantel and the friends would have had to have known her.
No, yeah, because they all go to the same primary school. But how, I imagine that little child just going in there as the adults and the young ones that reported to the police. She just waved goodbye, not knowing that's the last time she'll be alive. And the adult in that vehicle knowing, I'm going to kill this child.
Remember,
what goes through somebody's head? It's alleged, right? It may not be her, but what goes through somebody's head, very well knowing that this person is going to their doom? And a little innocent 9-year-old, she did nothing.
I cannot begin to fathom reasons. This is beyond my thinking capacity to come up with reasons why someone would do that. I don't know.
This is just sickening. And then last year too, there's a 10-year-old that's still missing. Poor child's probably with Jesus for all we know. This is just me speaking. And then there are 3 other adults, 1 missing since last November, 2 missing this year, 2 gentlemen, nowhere to be found. Then they found a body recently. I saw a report from the news outlet in Antigua, and they found a body in Sweets that was stabbed, but hearing further that now the body's just been buried.
What further puzzled me was, as you said, she was with 2 friends.
Yes.
So if you pick up a child with 2 friends, don't you think the friends are going to say, well,
who picked up the child?
And
adults were around too.
Yeah.
So that's why I wonder. And then you hear too that the child was, one time you're hearing she's a sacrifice, next time you're hearing it's for organ. It's just a lot of we
Well, that
speculate as
usually
human
happens.
beings, right?
That usually happens around these things. When you don't have answers, people speculate. So we're not going to go down that road.
Yeah, it's just gruesome when you hear how the child was found without her eyes and all of that. It's just nasty. It's just sickening. I'm waiting for the police now to put out an official statement.
Whenever the trial comes up, it's going to be a big trial. People are going to flock to.
Yeah, that's why they had to have the magistrate court where she appeared be cordoned off and extra police presence, because listen, when Antiguans passionate about something, as they would say, them real passionate, they don't play. They really don't play.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we had the sad story of hearing that an officer of the law, she turned the gun on herself in Antigua too last Friday.
Yeah, well.
So we got to keep praying for Antigua.
You see people every day. You don't know what they're going through.
That's correct.
And sometimes you even wish that you were them, only to find out that, wow, how the saying goes, walk a mile in my shoes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Or see me and come live with me is two different things.
Yeah.
I don't ever want to be anybody. I would say as a human being, right? I have enough problems of my own. Why do I think because I see that person smiling all is well?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we really have to be contented with our lives.
That is sad. Our condolences to the families and friends of
of Mr. Chantel.
Because
Miss Chantel Crump, sorry.
It is going to hit them hard,
Yeah.
family and friends.
And what do you say to the family of the accused? I really don't know what to say to the family of the accused. No, I'm saying, what do you say to the family of the accused?
Well, let's take a bit of a break.
Okay.
And we'll be back.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. WINN FM.
You ever hear earthquake call and say, hello, Miss Lee, yes, it's me, earthquake, I coming Tuesday around 10? No, sir. Earthquake does arrive unannounced, and when it come, it shake all sense and sensibility out of we. Remain calm, stay inside, and do the DCH. Drop, cover, hold on. Once the shaking starts, you know it's earthquake. Make a quick move to a safe place. Don't run to the door, we are in the exit. Stairs might broke up or full of people. Elevator, avoid that, because you might get in and poof, power gone, and you're stuck in that box without ear. Take cover under a strong table or a bed, or crouch against an inside wall or in a corner, and cover your face and your head with your arms. Remember, DCH, drop, cover, hold on. Glass windows and doors, outside walls and doors in an earthquake, bad news. Take care yourself. Most injuries during earthquakes happen when something drop and hit people entering or exiting a building. Last thing, nobody run outside and ask, you feel it, you feel it? Remain calm, stay indoors until all the shaking stop, and do the DCH, drop, cover, hold on.
This message is sponsored by the Australian Government, AusAid, and produced by NEMA in collaboration with WINN FM.
Tune in to Creative Voices, the ultimate radio call-in program where innovation meets inspiration. Join me, Dr. Sarah Owen, as I welcome brilliant Caribbean creatives and innovators for engaging sessions that promise to spark your creativity. Don't miss this unique opportunity to interact with our guests, ask your burning questions, and gain insights that could elevate your own creative endeavors. Tune in every other Friday from 10 a.m. to midday. Get inspired. Let your voice be heard. Mark your calendars and prepare to embark on a journey of creativity and innovation with Creative Voices.
Welcome to Island Tea with your faves. Keep it locked in with us for your daily dose of hot tea, only on WINN Media 98.9.
Good morning, and we are back on Island Tea. Remember, we are being simulcast on TVC Channel 40, Facebook, and YouTube. And for those of you wishing to call in, the numbers are for the UK 0333 440065. For the US, two numbers 718-285-6984. Then there's 305-921-4619, and our local numbers 466-0989 or 662-0989. I also saw in local news, and we also sent our well wishes to the Honorable Prime Minister, well, the former Prime Minister, Dr. Keith Mitchell of Grenada. I see he was giving a speech. He was, at least he felt it coming on, because he was telling folks, I'm about to black out. I heard them clapping, but I didn't think they grasped I would like to think we all understand what a blackout means, but I didn't think they understood the nature of the blackout until they saw him lean, and then they ran, and so he didn't fall. Somebody caught him just in time. So well wishes to Dr. Keith Mitchell over there in Grenada. Also in Dominica, I saw a response where the Prime Minister said that being on the yellow list, there was no communication to him as well, but he is consulting with his officials in the U.S. to find out the nature of the issue. The same thing our Prime Minister said here. I have not heard anything from the Honorable Gaston Brown, and I can't say I heard anything from the Honorable Pierre over there in St. Lucia.
Well, I don't really blame them because we're still not sure, where the source is coming from. But I think that they are keenly kind of observing, how things play out and see how it winds up in the end. But if I were them too, I would not rush to make any comment because, like you said, you haven't received anything. So,
So why?
Yeah.
Why fuss yourself? But as everybody, both Dominic and St. Kitts would have said, their officials are speaking with the U.S. authorities. Folks, don't forget, today at 8:30, we have Your Weekly Dose and with Dr. Natalie Osborne, and today's topic will be dental health effects on overall health. Once again, dental health effects on overall health, and that will be at 8:30, Weekly Dose with Dr. Natalie Osborne. In other news, give me 1 second, we touched on it yesterday, but we didn't really get to it. That is I'm saying doctor, I guess I just love doctor. The Honorable Mark Brantley, his response in terms of
the Caribbean uniting.
Yes. Yeah, I'm pulling it up right now. No, when you want something, it's there, and when you don't want it, it's there, and when you want it, it takes forever. So it says, and this comes from Loop Caribbean, it says, Nevis Premier calls for unified strategic Caribbean response to the U.S. And it says, Premier of Nevis, Mark Brantley, believes that the Caribbean through CARICOM should adopt a more measured and collective approach in responding to the Trump administration's policies. Excuse me. In a statement posted on his Facebook page on Sunday, Brantley emphasized the need for thoughtful, flexible diplomatic strategy in the face of rapidly shifting global and hemispheric dynamics. Our region needs a well-thought-out and well-crafted diplomatic strategy, which must be flexible enough to allow us to plan for and respond to a rapidly changing hemispheric and global environment, Brantley said. Caribbean leaders have recently voiced concern over Trump's administration's plan to impose visa restrictions on countries benefiting from Cuba's medical mission. The U.S. government claims that these nations are contributing to Cuba's alleged exploitation of medical personnel. The leaders are also responding to the threat of visa restrictions related to the issues such as passport security, failure to share travel information with the U.S., and the sale of citizenship to individuals from banned countries.
We have a caller.
Okay, caller, good morning. You're live on Island T.
Good morning to everybody.
Good morning, Greg. How are you?
Good day.
Blessed in Jesus' name and greetings in Jesus' name to you all.
Amen.
Jesus, who is the only Savior of sinners from their sin and from hell, and the second person of the eternal Trinity. Now, I would like to say that, well, the New York Times is a source of a lot of lies, and they are not reputable as a lot of people like to believe. The New York Times does tell a lot of fake news, a lot of lies.
You sure about that one?
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
And you see, it has been revealed now that this travel ban list is a fake.
It has been? It has been revealed that it's a fake?
Yeah, because the White House has now said it's not true.
Oh.
Okay, we were not aware of that.
Yeah, I don't know if for example, if you know of Everton Powell on Facebook, right? If you got to his page on Facebook, he have a clip where he's playing from the White House. That is revealing such. But not only that, but even before I went on his page, because I just went on his page to see if he had the clip. Even before I went on his page, I've read it from another source that the White House has now said that ain't true. The travel ban thing ain't true. So yes.
When you saw the response on Facebook, who from the White House was making the comment? Press secretary.
The lady.
The press secretary.
Yes. Well, I think that was the case. I think that was the case. I didn't listen to it in its entirety, but I think it was the press secretary. But I know it was a lady who was saying that. But what I read the comments. That's what I read. I more read the comments than listening to the video.
Yeah.
And where did you say you found this on Facebook?
Well, for one, Everton Obi Powell have the clip on his Facebook page. At the moment, it is the top clip on his Facebook page at the moment.
Okay.
You know of him, right?
Yes.
Yes. If you go there, you'll see it. I more read his comment than really listen to the clip.
Okay.
Yeah, but Greg, if you're gonna come and tell us that the White House said it isn't true, we are in a sort of, we're not sure. So we would have preferred. We would have preferred if you had not just read his script, because he can say anything. If you had been able to say to us, yes, I did see the press secretary. I'm just saying in the future, because I know that you're a stickler for details. So I'm surprised that you missed that one.
No. Well, like I said, I just went on his page to see if there's any corroboration. But before that, I came across another source that said the same thing.
Yeah, but that's
I just went on his page to see if he corroborated what I read otherwise.
Okay. We're gonna have to find out if it's
yes.
so.
Yeah, but he was not the first that came across that thing. Yes. Secondly, I would just like to let everybody know. Okay. No matter how we feel about something, I always say, and like others have always said, a person is innocent until proven guilty in the courts of law. Yeah. And I just additionally said to that, also as well, a person is innocent unless it can be shown that the investigation and the deliverance of justice has been intentionally usurped or hindered. Until then, a person is innocent until proven guilty.
What are we speaking about? The alleged murderer of the young lady in Antigua?
Yes, because everybody blood right now is boiling hot at the alleged criminal. Everybody blood is boiling at when they have to cordon off the courthouse. Right. So just like to because some of the time feeling, not some of the time, most of the time, the overwhelming majority of the time, feelings just overtake logic, and that is not good, and that is why people end up doing things that they're sorry for. And so I just like to remind people of that. We call it adage, old time adage, if you could call it that.
Yeah.
Yes. Thirdly, I would like to say concerning the officer who apparently committed suicide. I don't know if the investigation is more so, because last time we yesterday.
You can go and read the Antigua Observer, Greg.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question. Are they now saying that they actually was a suicide? Because last time I read, they were saying it seemed as though it was a suicide.
Well, apparently she did it on the. Apparently, as I'm saying, she did it on the compound.
Right. It was on the compound, But yesterday when I read that, they were saying, well, I think it's being investigated. So right now, I think they were saying it seems as though that she committed suicide. So I wanted to know if they're saying, well, yes, we are certain now that she committed suicide.
Okay, hold on. Let me read the article for you. And this is from the Daily Observer, the Antigua Observer. And it says, as the Royal Police Force of Antigua and Barbuda continues to mourn the passing of a young officer, a number of people have expressed sadness about the situation, with the police top brass promising counseling for officers. Senior Sergeant Io Malone reportedly died at own hands last Friday while on the job, a development which shocked her colleagues and the nation. The officer was attached to the cyber unit. Acting Commissioner of Police Everton Jeffers, during an interview with the Daily Observer, said that while Malone was quiet, she was very efficient, hardworking, proficient, having benefited from a number of training courses related to the department in which she worked. I want to say that we are going to miss Miss Malone. She is one of those persons who enjoy doing what she does, and I want to take the opportunity to express our sincere condolences to the entire family, her children, her mother, her husband, and all those who are associated with her. Officers took the news of Malone's death very hard, with some expressing shock at the outcome of her young life.
Okay, that's it. Well,
it has more, but it's a lengthy one, so I just read what I could. So
yes, that's good. Very good. And thank you very much for that.
But if you want to read it in its entirety, just go to the Daily Observer.
Okay, you maybe you all could post a link on your website too.
Okay, I'll pass it on to those concerned.
Yes, very good. So apparently, the statement is a bit stronger, as they said. It has been reported that she took her life. Mm-hmm. Now, what I would like to say is that no, apparently, if once she took her life, as the article has seemed to have said, mm-hmm. it shows that depression and whatever demons might be affecting us. Mm-hmm. It could lead us to do some things that are very sad, as in this case, committing suicide. Yeah. And with all due respect, well, number one, this is very sad, and my condolences to her family, friends, and all of her associates. My condolences and sympathies to them all. This is a very sad thing. Mm-hmm. But what I would also say is that I would tell people, and always tell people, that the very, very best way to overcome and handle depressions and all the demons that might be affecting us, sadness, you name it, is just simply be a true Christian and living for the Lord and obeying the Bible.
What about
and
those
resting in the Lord, that after you don't do all that you can do as a true Christian in obedience to his word, that God, Jesus Christ, who is God, would do what you cannot do.
But Greg, what about those folks that are not religious and maybe it's affected them for most of their lives? What about those folks? How do they need the help? Then maybe when
that's what I have said is what I would tell everybody.
But what if somebody's already down that road and they don't know the Savior the way they should know the Savior?
Repeat?
What if somebody's already down that road? They're mentally ill. They don't know the Savior the way they should know the Savior. They need the help.
Yes, they need help. But I would say that is by far the best help you could give anybody. What the Bible says, living a true godly Christian life, meditating on the Bible, living according to the Bible, and resting in the fact that after you do all that you can do in obedience to the Bible, that Jesus Christ would do the rest that you cannot do.
Okay.
Nothing cures depression. Nothing cures depression like those things. And praying as well. Prayer from a true godly Christian heart. As the Bible said, the prayer of the righteous accomplishes much before God.
Understand?
Prayer.
Okay, Greg, understood. We have a segment coming up. We're not running you, but we just have to take a break to get to that segment, okay?
So thank you very much, and only the Bible is the answer for everything in life. Thank you very much.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. WINN FM.
Feeling lucky? Want to amp up your cash? The Caribbean Lottery just upped the ante on Pick 3 and Pick 4. Add the Mega Ball for just $1 and see your winnings skyrocket. With Pick 3, that lucky match with the Mega Ball could mean up to $300 more in your pocket. Hit the Pick 4 winning numbers with Mega Ball and you're walking away with up to $2,500 extra. It's that easy. Pick 3, Pick 4, Mega Ball 2. That's the Caribbean Lottery way for me and you. This is a limited time offer only on the first prize draw with Mega Ball. Available at Caribbean Lottery retailers island-wide. Must be 21 or older to play.
Babe, we can get up to 100% financing on a land loan with CIBC Caribbean.
Really? No down payment?
With 15 years to repay, it's so affordable.
Now we can finally move forward with the land we love.
Get up to 100% financing, half off the loan application fee, and up to 15 years to repay a land loan. Plus, CIBC Caribbean will give you $675 towards your valuation fees. Promotion ends March 31, 2025. Terms and conditions apply. Visit CIBCFCIB.com for more information.
If you live in low-lying areas, be aware of the possibility of tsunamis immediately after an earthquake. A strong earthquake lasting 20 seconds or more is a natural tsunami warning. Do not wait for an official warning. Gather your family members and evacuate immediately after the shaking stops. Don't delay. A tsunami could occur within minutes.
This message is sponsored by the Australian Government, AusAid, and produced by NEMA in collaboration with WINN FM.
Unlock the secrets to a healthier you. Join Dr. Natalie Osborne every Tuesday at 8:30 a.m. on WINN FM 98.9 for Weekly Dose. During this 30-minute health discussion, we aim to educate and empower our listeners on the prevention of diseases, early diagnosis, and timely intervention. Don't miss out on this informative health talk where we teach you to live your best life. Weekly Dose, Tuesdays on WINN FM 98.9.
Welcome to Island Tea with your faves. Keep it locked in with us for your daily dose of hot tea, only on WINN Media 98.9.
And we are back on Island Tea, and as promised, we have the good doctor in for this week's episode of Weekly Dose. And as I mentioned earlier, our topic for today is dental health effects on overall health. So, Dr. Osborne, welcome to Island Tea. How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing well. Good
you look
morning.
That way.
Happy to be here this morning. Yes, so I hope everyone who's out there listening to us will learn something from today's program, and we'll have a good time. So I'm wishing everyone a very beautiful morning.
Indeed. So let's talk about our oral health, because we know some of us don't like to brush our teeth even as adults.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Yes. So we're supposed to brush our teeth and floss daily. We know that. So it might be surprising to many that it's not just about oral health care, but it's about overall wellness. And we got to stop thinking of our mouth as different or distinct, but they're interconnected, our mouth and our overall health. So if you've got problems with your teeth, with your gums, that can lead to different health issues like heart disease. There's studies that confirms that cardiovascular problems are highly linked with oral hygiene and poor oral care. You can have difficulty having a good nutrition. You have tooth loss. You're not able to enjoy your food. You have tooth that are loose. You have exposed gums. All of that can affect your nutrition and how your body aliments as well too. You can have things, it's highly associated with diabetes, and it's a two-way street where diabetes can affect your oral health, and your oral health affects diabetes and other things like that. So that is why I thought it was important to bring this topic so that we all know that there is direct relationship and we have to take care of our oral health as well as we take care of our body.
Stroke though?
Mm-hmm.
And osteoporosis though? What? Okay, let's dive right into it. So why does oral health matter?
So as we just said, so the mouth is an extension of your body, and you looking at you meet someone and you look at, even just looking at their teeth, you can have a sense of their overall wellness, how they care for themselves. Tooth decay, gum disease can contribute to heart disease, contribute to things like pneumonia, which is an infection of the lung, and it can be linked to certain cancers and diabetes. So there is strong evidence, especially when it's associated with heart disease and oral health. So we've got to make sure, because oftentimes we see oral care separate. Even your dental insurance is different from your overall insurance. So we tend to separate. Your dentist is different from your medical or family practitioner, but it does link. So there's interrelationship there.
Oh boy. So what are signs of poor oral health?
So signs of poor oral health is when you have all chronic inflammation of your gum. We call that gingivitis, all right? You could sometimes feel your mouth is sore. You realize, you see around a particular teeth or tooth that you have some inflammation there. That is called gingivitis. And if it worsens, it could lead to much more serious problems. We could talk about caries or cavities in the teeth, okay? That can be a sign of course, poor oral health when you start developing all these cavities in your teeth. Tooth decay. All of these are signs that you are not managing your oral health well enough. And if it's not put in check, it can lead to more severe complications.
This one is an off-the-chart question, but sometimes you see kids and their teeth is already eating out, like literally decaying. Do you think it affects us from grassroots right up?
Yes, because we're going to talk about it. There's genetic component too. So sometimes the strength of your teeth and your overall health of your teeth has a genetic component, of course, and how the child is nourished and the food that the child eats, and not encouraging the child to care for these teeth.
Okay. So what is gingivitis and a periodontitis?
Okay, so gingivitis and periodontitis. So gingivitis is a common form of gum infection or gum disease. It's part of the periodontal diseases. So there's irritation, redness, swelling, and bleeding to your gum. You've ever been brushing your teeth and your teeth, you start having bleeding when you spit out the toothpaste, etc. So that's a sign that there is some kind of inflammation or irritation of your lining of your gum, and we need to get that checked out and resolved so it doesn't progress. Periodontitis is almost like a severe infection now. It gets much worse than just a simple gingivitis. So what does that do? That affects your gum. Your gum can wear away. You've seen persons with the root of the tooth exposed because of the wear and tear on the gum. There's decay and breakdown of the bone. Remember, our teeth sits inside the mandible. That's that bone there. It sits inside those sockets. And if there's wear and tear, your tooth can become loose and even eventually come out because of the severe infection. And that can lead to bone loss, tooth or teeth loss in persons.
Let us talk about plaque. So what is dental plaque?
So we've often go to the dentist and the dentist wants us to remove the plaque. Some persons have much more than others. That is why it's important to do your bi-yearly dental hygiene where you get your teeth clean. So dental plaque is nothing more than a sticky film that builds up on the teeth. It's a mixture of bacteria, because there are millions of bacteria that lives in our mouth constantly. So there's a buildup of bacteria, there's a buildup of food, residual food that is sticky and stuff there, and those are being constantly formed in your mouth. And if not addressed, they become stuck to your tooth and become more permanent. So when you eat, these bacteria feed on the food, breaking down the food in your mouth and breaking down some of the sugars and the carbohydrates. And that is how that is. And it's normal to produce plaque, but you want that plaque to go away. You don't want that plaque to become permanent.
Okay. So let us talk about the decaying of the tooth. So what is tooth decay?
So it's nothing more than once we have this food in our mouth and the action of the saliva on the food and the bacteria that is there, these bacteria produce different acids. These acids cause wear and tear if not put in check. All right, so there's a high amount of acid being produced when the food and the bacteria come in contact. It's a part of the chemical breakdown. And so these acids affect the mineral that is in our teeth, which is the enamel there, that is filled with things like calcium and phosphate. So that breaks that down if it is not washed away. Hence why it's important after you eat a meal, you want to brush your teeth and clear out some of those excess acid buildup. So what happens, that breaks down the enamel, and if not checked, the enamel continue to wear and tear over a long period of time, and it creates these cavities. And of course, then it eventually gets right down to what? We're talking about the nerve and the blood vessel at the root of the tooth, and then that creates a severe problem, of course, leading to where you've got to go to the dentist now, get a cavity filled. If it's not able to be filled, you have a loss of tooth. You can't have a root canal because it's so progressive, all right? So that tooth decay, and it happens over a period of time. It's not just one night. It's a constant lack of oral care. And then we're going to talk more how that oral care, that destruction of the tooth, then can create health problems.
Okay, let's talk about what can happen if you have poor oral health.
So beyond having a bad smile, a poor smile, a missing tooth, and persons are embarrassed and uncomfortable about that, and unable, and it decrease your self-confidence, affect your communication skills. It can lead to severe cardiovascular disease. We've mentioned cardiovascular disease before. We're talking about anything that affects the heart and the blood vessels that are associated with the heart. So we know that. So it's a group of disorder. So the blood vessels that go to the heart directly, that give nutrients to the heart muscle and the heart wall, those are called the coronary vessels. And if they become destroyed or narrowed because what? Some of the same plaque, it can lead to atherosclerosis, where there's buildup of plaques and stuff inside these blood vessels, narrowing them and decreasing the blood supply to the heart. You want to know that it can clog your arteries, of course. It can lead to things like stroke, because once there's a clogged artery, there's decreased blood supply going to that particular area, and that's the blood vessels to the brain that can lead to things like stroke. Another important one you've heard, persons may have heard of endocarditis. Nothing more than an infection of the lining of the innermost lining of the heart. Once we hear itis, we know it's an infectious or inflammatory process. And especially persons who already have heart disease, they may have a heart valve replacement, okay, artificial valve. What happens? If you have poor oral health, those bacteria can get into your bloodstream and travel to your heart, okay? Colonize on these artificial valves and a heart that is already damaged, and multiply and creating this severe infection that has a high mortality or morbidity, meaning that the individual can die or have severe heart disease and heart failure. So you want to keep these in mind. So it's not isolated at all. Our body is so beautifully interconnected.
Boy, I'm wishing sometimes it's not so interconnected, because one thing affects everything. So let us talk about poor dental health. How does it affect a woman's pregnancy?
Yes, so a young lady is pregnant, say for example you cartensia, and you're bringing a new life. That life depends solely on you for nutrients, all right? And if you have poor dental health, of course, you can create certain problems for this. You can have premature birth. So your baby, you can have a severe infection leading to a premature birth. Low weight birth in your baby or your newborn. It can lead to miscarriage. Okay, it can lead to things like stillbirth and fetal growth restriction. So if these women are not caring for, so once you become pregnant, your OBGYN, of course, would have all your overall checks. Part of that check should be asking you to see the dentist, making sure that your oral health is intact. If there is any cavities, you need to address that. If there's something that needs to be done, get your cleaning, because that can affect the development of the fetus.
Listen, this body is real connected. Let's talk about pneumonia and poor dental hygiene.
So pneumonia is nothing more than an infection in the lung. Many times you would have heard this, or they have an infection in the lung. That is what we call pneumonia. So what happens, especially in persons who overall are unwell, they have their immunocompromised already. These individuals, if they have poor oral health, these bacteria, they can have an infection that then travels into the lung, get into the respiratory tract. Remember, they're so very closely associated. And then what happens? That bacteria gets there, multiply in the lung, and give you worsen any sort of lung infection that a person may have. Okay? So it is important, of course, to make sure that we eliminate or decrease the bad bacteria in our mouth that creates bad breath that leads to gingivitis and poor dental care.
Okay. How does untreated cavities lead to poor nutrition?
So, of course, that is well known in kids. You spoke earlier about some of these kids that you may have seen with the tooth that discolored, they're, as we say, rotten. Yeah. What happens now? You've had your gum that is painful. It's hard for you to eat. You have missing tooth. It's hard for you to eat. So you want to keep your elderlies as well in mind. Because sometimes when you see your grandpa or your grandma not eating well, it's not simply because they don't have an appetite. Sometimes they're afraid because chewing on the food, it hurts because the tooth may be loose. The gum is inflamed. The tooth, the gum line may be eroded. You know, sometimes persons are unable to drink or eat something that is cold because there's erosion of the gum and they have tooth sensitivity. So you want to avoid that. So overall, if you're not eating well, it's going to lead to poor nutrition. How are you going to bite on an apple or a carrot, which is good for teeth health, if you don't have the teeth in your mouth? Okay, so all of this contributes to the overall nutrition.
Okay, let's talk about what puts our oral health at risk.
So there are many factors, okay? We're going to talk about things like a poor diet, poor oral hygiene, a diet that is high in sugar. We know that the bacteria in our mouth love sugar, and these excess sugar produce a lot of acid. And what happens? You have a candy, let's say something that's sticky, a bun, something that's sticky, and it stays there on your teeth. Sometimes you don't brush it in the middle of the night. You go to bed there. Oftentimes people do that. What happens? That's a feast for the bacteria. And once that bacteria starts to act upon that food particle, all these acids are being produced. These acids are doing what? They're damaging the enamel of the tooth. They're causing havoc on the lining of the tooth. They're causing havoc on the gum. So you want to think about that. Tobacco use, any individual who smoke, you would see them too. Sometimes you can tell by the discoloration of their teeth because of the habitual smoking. Excessive alcohol use, we know we can almost associate it as alcohol with almost everything. Yes, so excessive alcohol use. High stress as well, they speak about. And so all of these things can cause periodontal diseases, and they can lead to systemic health disorder. So it makes sense that we try and address or eliminate some of these risk factors that we can control. We mentioned earlier genetics. That some persons, you just have to blame your mother or father from your genetics that you don't have the strongest of tooth, or you're more susceptible to having certain diseases of the gum and teeth. We can talk about diabetes. We mentioned diabetes. Persons who are diabetic, we know that they're overall immunocompromised, they're overall well-being. And so it's a two-way street. If you have diabetes, it can affect your oral health and put you at risk. And if you have poor oral health, of course, infection of the mouth, you can have things like thrush. You remember that? That's an oral fungus there. And if that fungus, it can then affect your lining of your esophagus or food pipe and create such havoc on these individuals, leading to severe different types of infection. You want to think about osteoporosis. You said that. As we get older, you know that there's thinning of the bone, so the bone density weakens. Remember, our teeth are inserted into bones as well, so your jawline, that that becomes weaker and thinned out over time, and that can lead to bone loss. If you start losing the bone in your mouth and having bone loss, the root becomes exposed, the tooth is weakened, and you have loose tooth. You may have had, I've seen some older individuals, a person who have poor health, they're eating something and a tooth just comes out in their hand. They lose a tooth like that. So that can happen as well. We've talked about, you would have heard about patients who are HIV positive or AIDS positive, having the AIDS virus. What happened? They are severely immunocompromised. So they have to pay much more attention to their oral health as well, Hortensia, because any oral infection, the same way they can be affected by the oral candidiasis, which we call thrush. Remember growing up, you heard about thrush, that kind of thing. Persons who have Alzheimer's, you have your old granny there, old grandpa, and those persons,
so
of course.
Those ones are just forgetting to brush your teeth or telling you we did it already.
Over time, things like that. The oral health becomes worse. Okay, they're not brushing their teeth. And persons, there's some studies that are showing that cancers can be associated with gum disease. So cancers of the mouth, cancer of the gastrointestinal tract, okay? So you want to keep these in mind.
Lung and breast cancer too?
Yes. So they're saying that further studies need to be done, but they're seeing association with these.
Uterus, that all the way down. What? And arthritis too?
Yes.
Wow.
Because what happens, arthritis over time, there's weakening and inflammation. Once you hear this itis, yes, there's infection and stuff in the joints, leading to problems. So the strongest evidence is associated with the cardiovascular disease, like heart disease and oral health. But a lot of these other conditions, which we mentioned here, are showing that there are quite a bit of association, and continual studies are revealing more and more. So we have to keep that in mind.
I got a confession. So some nights I go to sleep with a mint in my mouth or bubblegum to have the reality TV breath. Yeah, just to be sarcastic. And I'm seeing that might be bad for my teeth. So
that's definitely because there's sugars in these products. There's sugars in these candies, and especially what happens to the stickiness in them. It sticks around and hang around on your tooth and your teeth much longer. And what happened? That's joy for the bacteria in your mouth.
Causing harm then good.
Yeah, so you're causing harm. So you don't. The last thing you put in your mouth and the only thing after you brush your teeth, typically I recommend, is that you just drink water if you have to drink some water throughout the night. But don't go and have a juice or something. Some person may want to have a juice, but if you're going to have the juice, then you have to go and brush again. So if you're too lazy to get up.
Okay, say you brush your teeth, you have the juice. Could you just rinse with mouthwash? Is that good enough to go to sleep with that in your mouth?
Yes, that is better than nothing. Try to rinse out all of the excess juice and the sugars and stuff that are there.
So now I have to stop my nonsense, because I swear I go to sleep with a mint every night or a bubble gum in my mouth.
No, well, that's not. Well, you're trying to wake up with a fresh breath?
That's what I said, the reality TV fresh breath.
So what you do, get up earlier than your husband and just brush your teeth or rinse it out before
I don't
that.
have a kicking breath. I just don't want to move right away, you know. So, let's talk about what foods are bad for our teeth.
So we mentioned it, these candies, these sour candies especially, and these chewy kind of sticky candies, because what happened to them, they stick around much longer on your gum and your teeth, so you want to be careful. All these breads, the breads are high in sugar. Most of these breads that we have, high in carbohydrates. What happens, the saliva there in the mouth is important to help start breaking down, because there are specific enzymes and breaking down the food in your mouth. So it's breaking down the starch, producing different types of sugars. And then what happens? These sugars produce these acids. All right. Alcohol, we mentioned that. Carbonated drinks, those are rich in sugars as well too. You want to, they said not to ice. Not because ice having calories and sugar. They don't want you to be biting up too many ice. Sometimes do that. And what happens? You break your teeth. And any little chip in your tooth can do what? Lead to exposure and help bacteria to get inside and create havoc. Citrus. If you're going to drink your have your lemonades or your citric fruits, you got to make sure wash your mouth out or brush your teeth, because these highly acidic food can create wear and tear on your on the enamel of your teeth. Potato chips, nothing healthy in that. I see it show up on all the list of bad food and food that we must eliminate.
The soft one or the crunchy kettle cooked
any
ones?
kind of potato chips, because what, there is no healthy food there. It's just a lot of sugars when you break that down, and empty calories. Dried fruits, because some of it's best to have the natural food. These dried fruits, sometimes they sprinkle even more sugar on them. And these can be kind of sticky and chewy when you eat them, and this material can stay on your teeth.
Okay, let's talk about which toothpaste. Fluoride rich or toothpaste water? Which one is beneficial?
Well, most studies, because in modern times, there was a study that I saw back in I think it was 45 in Michigan. There was a study where there was a lot of tooth decay in children, and once they introduced fluoride, it dropped off almost 60%, and persons were having healthier teeth. Most scientists and most healthcare providers believe, and most dentists encourage it, but there's some persons who are against it, and there's this somewhat controversy. But it is known that fluoride is a mineral, a healthy mineral that leads to healthy teeth and support the enamel. So then it is typically encouraged. So I'm not going to get into, as there always going to be debates around certain topic, but it is still. So the water that doesn't have fluoride in it, standard care is to introduce a bit of fluoride, because we have seen over the years and through many studies that it improves the overall oral care of communities and societies. Because I know persons are talking about removing fluoride, even in the United States, in different
but it's a
states.
natural mineral.
There are bills and stuff, so there are persons who fight against it. Even the secretary of what that guy name is, Kennedy, the secretary of Human HHS, Human Health, the secretary. You know, there are all these controversies, and he doesn't believe in vaccines and all those things. But science is proving that most of these things are necessary. So I'll leave that one there.
Because I'm wondering, when he had his addiction, what nursed him back to health?
Okay, then.
Yeah,
We will not go there
I know we're not going to go there, but it's just frustrating.
So fluoride-rich water is important for dental health. It strengthens the enamel, which prevents dental decay. That's how I want to end that part.
Okay, how can we protect our oral health?
So that's good that you asked that. You want to brush your teeth daily. Okay, and so next time to the potentially you can invite a dentist to give more elaboration on some of these things.
Not a bad idea.
Yeah, so brush your teeth at least twice a day. At the beginning of the day, at the end of the day. To me, that should be the last thing you do. And you want to floss regularly. Lots of us are not flossing. What does flossing do? It removes all of that, what we call the plaque that is there. So you want to get between your teeth and remove many. Okay, so it's abrasive, and it helps to remove some of that plaque, so you do not have that buildup. Remember, we said the plaque is bacteria, old food and stuff, and that you don't want there. You want to use a soft bristle, because I learned the hard way, because I thought brushing my teeth hard was good over the years, and I create havoc with the wear and tear of my gums. So you want to use a soft toothbrush, okay? You want to brush regularly, you want to clean between your teeth, and you want to eat healthy foods that are beneficial. They speak about things like almonds, apples, cheese, celeries, yogurt as food that are healthy to be a part of your healthy diet, and limit your foods and drinks that are sugary. Replace your toothbrush regularly. It said 3 to 4 months, I think, because I always thought that brushing your teeth hard was the way to go. And I think I wear to my toothbrush. Yeah, wear to my toothbrush much faster than usual. So, but if your bristles are worn and bend and flare, you need to get a new toothbrush, okay? See your dentist at least once a year. see your oral hygienist and get your every 6 months, get your cleaning if you can, because that tartar, which is that hardened plaque that you yourself are unable to get, then the dentist can remove it with their instruments in the dental office. So it's always important. And you can have your dentist look at your gums, seeing if your gums are healthy, make any necessary recommendation. And you're not going to use any tobacco. So from now on, no one in St. Kitts and Nevis are going to smoke anything. And that's going to help our overall health.
Oh,
and we're going to, bit by bit, get rid of the alcohol. And it's going to become, that's my goal too, because overall, when we go through all of these topics, during all of these series of lecture, we realize the association alcohol with overall health and smoking as well, and obesity. So if we work on these things, we can improve and eliminate a lot of these non-communicable diseases.
Okay, let's talk about, as we know them as kids, false teeth.
Oh.
So folks, we're going to talk about dentures. So how can patients who use dentures improve their oral health?
So if you have dentures, of course, you want to be able to remove your dentures as often as possible and rinsing them after meals. You want to brush and remove them daily as often as possible. If any deposits are on your dentures, you want to do that. There's some commercial solutions. You can soak your dentures in overnight. Okay? You want to clean your mouth and brush your tongue. Okay, after you remove your dentures, you can use mouthwash and stuff. And you want to just make sure that you get your dentures checked from time to time, because they themselves have wear and tear over the years and over long-term use. All right? So if you may have to renew your dentures, get a new set over time.
I know you're not a dentist, but about how long do you think a denture lasts?
I really couldn't answer that in terms of how long typically dentures last. But once you see that the individual teeth start breaking away, you're going to have to then
get
know
a new one.
You need to, yes.
You're right.
And if there are any cracks in
the
dentures and stuff, remember there's a plate.
Yeah, the pink plate that resembles a gum.
Yes, because what happens, if there are cracks in those, bacteria can get in there, colonize in there, and create havoc. So those things, I think that you should go to your denture makers or to your dentist and have those review over a period of time. Because I know some persons think once they have dentures, that's their dentures for the rest of their life. But periodically, they need to have them checked. I don't know if there's a specific timeline you should change your dentures, but if there is any issue with it, then you can have it checked.
Okay. Well, Doc, do you have anything to end with before we close out today?
So in just closing, it is important to know that there is a strong association with overall health and our dental care. So we can no longer look at it as two separate entities. What affects our mouth and our oral care can affect our body. We know there's strong association with especially heart disease, with persons who are diabetic, who are already immunocompromised. So we have to make a concerted effort to improve our overall health care. And it's not so difficult. Brush in the morning, brush in the evening, get your floss and try and floss as often as possible so that we can see your dentist, so that if there is any problem, it can be addressed early. Because once you start losing teeth, we sometimes forget that every time you lose teeth in your mouth, they're shifting.
Yeah.
And it increases the probability of losing more teeth.
Yeah.
And they're shifting over time. Yeah. And your teeth becomes weakened. It makes it much more difficult to have a healthy and nutritious diet because of all these inflammation, periodontal diseases, and destruction of the bone and tooth loss. So we want to make sure that we encourage our listening audience to take care of their health.
Yes, please take care of you.
And if the effort that Cartencia and I and everybody who's a part of this show, that if we are listening over the years, over the time, and you put some of these, I know we're not going to get it perfect every time, but if you put some of this discussion into play, we can improve our life, because that's our goal here, that the persons in our community can live a healthier and better life. So I wish everybody a beautiful Tuesday and be kind to each other.
Yes, indeed. Be kind to each other. As I will join with the doctor in wishing you a beautiful day. This is where I take my leave as well. See you tomorrow on tomorrow's show. The show continues, so please don't leave. Have a great Tuesday. Thanks for listening.
Found the sound. 98.9.
Voices has a new time. Starting Friday, January 24, tune in from 10 to 12 on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays for Voices right after Island Tea on WINN FM. Money Matters with Dr. Terrence Martin moves to Monday afternoons from 1 to 2 p.m. Inside the News on Saturday mornings, now 10 to 12 noon. Tune in to WINN FM 98.9. Log on to winmediaskn.com and our YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch pages. And let's go. Keep up with the news on our website and by following our WINN Media SKN channel on WhatsApp. Message your comments or call WINN FM at 466-0989, 662-0989, or call our U.S. numbers from anywhere, 718-285-6984, 305-921-4619, and call our sales office at 466-9586. Voices, now 10 to 12 a.m. Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Money Matters, 1 to 2 p.m. Monday afternoon. And Inside the News, Saturdays, 10 to 12 noon on WINN FM 98.9.
Hey, have you heard about the water shortage in our area?
Yeah, it's pretty serious. I've been trying to conserve water as much as possible.
Me too. I've started taking shorter showers and turning off the faucet when I brush my teeth.
Well, that's great. Another way to save water is to fix any leaks in your house.
Oh, I hadn't thought of that. How much water can a leak waste?
A small leak can waste up to 20 gallons of water daily, which can really add up over time.
Wow, that's a lot. And have to check for any leaks in my house.
But another good tip is to only run your dishwasher and full to save water and energy.
I'll keep that in mind. It's important that we all do our part to conserve water, especially during this shortage.
Absolutely. Every drop counts.
This message was brought to you by the St. Kitts Water Services Department. Learn more at water.gov.kn.
Welcome to Island Tea with your faves. Keep it locked in with us for your daily dose of hot tea only on WINN Media 98.9.
Heritage matters to me. Heritage matters to you. Join me, Percival Hanley, this coming Friday and every other Friday at 10 a.m. to 12 noon for Heritage Matters on WINN Media SKN 98.9. Heritage matters to me. Heritage matters to you.
The importance of co-parenting. Every child has the right to bond with the parents that gave them life. Children are happiest when they can freely communicate and enjoy the time, talents, and lessons that each parent brings to the relationship.
We make co-parenting difficult when we focus on differences rather than what is in the best interest of our children. Parents, your relationship with each other should never affect the relationship you have with your child. Celebrate your children together. They deserve your best. A message brought to you by the Department of Probation and Child Protection Services. Contact us at 467-1311 or 662-6833 for more information.
Welcome to Island Tea with your faves. Keep it locked in with us for your daily dose of hot tea only on WINN Media 98.9.
A pleasant good day to you and yours, and welcome back. And I'm going to be your host for the duration for the next few minutes, taking us up to the top of the hour. But we also have some work being done in here, so here's what I'm going to do. Because we have some work being done on our phone lines, I'm going to get right into playing a clip so that I can give the technician, the individual here, some time to at least get a few things done. So I'm going to go straight to a clip, and this clip deals with it. It is a clip from some time ago, perhaps sometime last year, but I think it is relevant to what is happening in the Caribbean right now because it speaks to the Caribbean taking steps ahead to further advance the citizenry and to usher in a new era and new ways of doing things. And pertinent to that is unifying, getting together as a Caribbean region, the heads of governments and so on and so forth, and taking the steps necessary to take us into a new era. So I'm going to get into that, and you give it a listen, and I'll sort of move away and let the technician have a little bit of a free time. I think this is about, let me see, about 50 minutes duration. So I'm going to play it and you give it a listen.
Thank you very much, Golda, and I want to say hello to everyone who was on the seminar this morning. Let me tell you, there's a barrier I was born into. There's a barrier that every small islander inherits, especially after colonialism. It is the barrier of self-contempt. You're a little place. You're not metropolitan. You wouldn't send men to the moon. You wouldn't invent the latest, greatest computer. And you're not making any destructive weapons so you can kill the next man and take all his property and call it yours. You're a little island. So you're born into a situation where you feel lesser than other people, and it's called self-contempt. But once I began to shed my self-contempt after the power of this thing we call mass was revealed to me, it becomes a mission of mine to help people shed this self-contempt. Because some people still don't understand that the things that we do best are worthy of hallelujahs. I start with the words that aren't mine, but those are the words of the iconic Guyanese Trinidadian massman Peter Minshall, a god to many. Minshall is undoubtedly one of the Caribbean's greatest creatives. For his carnival work, yes, but more for his art direction. This quote is from an interview that he did in 1995, just under 1 year after I became Minister of Culture, 1 year after I entered into the cabinet of Barbados, which came after he had already directed, by the way, the opening ceremonies of the 1992 Barcelona Olympics and the 1994 FIFA World Cup. He would go on to create the opening ceremonies for the 1996 Atlanta Olympics, the 2002 Salt Lake Winter Olympics, and the 2007 Cricket World Cup, with which I had the honor to work with him personally. Peter Minshall personifies world class. He is in the business, my friends, of the moonshots of which I spoke. While Minshall's artistic license frees him up to use terms such as self-contempt to describe the Caribbean's underdevelopment, my technical sensibilities draw me to the more balanced phrasing of cultural confidence, or more to the point of lack of cultural confidence. From political unrest to gun violence to bleaching of skins, the root of so many of our current regional problems boils down, I believe, to issues of identity and lack of cultural confidence. And that is why in our own covenant of hope, we literally put as the first chapter identity and confidence, because without that we will go nowhere. That's why on my phone I carried a picture of the late great Robert Nesta Marley to remind me of two phrases: emancipate yourselves from mental slavery, and of course, what does it profit a man to gain the world and to lose his soul? Neither of those statements are original to Bob, but Bob understood the power of amplification with respect to them. He understood what it would do to our identity and to our cultural confidence. He understood that he was speaking each day and every day to that little boy and that little girl going into primary school, going into secondary school. At the end of the day, I ask us, who are we? What makes us? How do we solve our own problems? What is our purpose? What is the value of our contribution? As a region, we had all of this and so much more to consider. And then, boops, comes COVID. But you will forgive me, as an eternal optimist and an unwavering believer in the capacity of Caribbean people. I do not see identity issues as irreversible character flaws, nor do I see COVID-19 as an insurmountable challenge, nor do I believe that cultural values and cultural mores don't change. 50 years ago, we didn't play banjo on a Sunday. What is banjo, you ask? Any kind of music that is not hymns or gospel. But now throughout the region, that has changed. Some will argue change for the worse, some will argue change for more tolerance. But whatever it is, the point is cultural values and cultural mores change. So rather, I see this simply as part of a process of our development. I see it as part of our growing up, as part of the recognition that as adults, we make choices and there are consequences to choices. And to that extent, our family, our parents, our extended family, and our community must help nurture us in the choices that we have to make. We have moved, my friends, beyond our tenuous toddler and moody teen years, where we were dependent on others for basic needs, beyond the rebelliousness of young adulthood and the stabilizing middle-age period. And now, like many 40 to 60-year-olds, we in the Caribbean are in a period of resilience and smart investment to secure our future. For countries, just like with humans, this natural cycle of development, of maturing and of overcoming difficult periods cannot be successfully achieved without first addressing some hard truths. As I say to my people in Barbados all the time, you can't expect to be an adult without having difficult conversations. That's just life. The hard truth is that the Caribbean exited colonialism without the benefit of a development pact. I've been saying so every day for the last few months. Why? Because the whole Black Lives Matter movement has literally reinforced in us the need to examine who we are and how we have gotten where we are. This truth resonates particularly deeply with me in this year, which marks, within a few days, the 75th anniversary of the United Nations founding on October 24th. Our eldest regional siblings, Jamaica and Trinidad, are only 58 years old. Thus, the rules of engagement were established well before we became sovereign states, and yet they have not been extended to us in full. Still, even without the input and resources that were afforded to many European and Asian states by multilateral bodies, the Caribbean region has done a commendable job in providing for the needs of its people. We're not where we want to be, but we've done a lot to come from where we were in that 1930s moment that literally scarred our landscapes from the north right down to the south. For us in the Caribbean, the hard truth is that in the last 40 years, our dependency has transitioned from one vulnerable sector, agriculture, to another vulnerable sector, as we now know so well, tourism. Though operationally vastly different industries, the macro analysis presents, unfortunately, similar traits: volatile products, highly fluctuating seasonal revenues, global marketplaces that dictate our prices, and high susceptibility to hurricanes, and now, as we know, pandemics. But may I also say, the hurricanes really represent only the heart attacks of the climate crisis. We face the chronic NCDs in so many ways, not just in terms of our bodily health, but in terms of the climate crisis, namely the droughts and indeed the sargassum that continue to bedevil those who depend on coastal businesses to make their living. The hard truth, my friends, is that Peter Minshall is right. The Caribbean has not, regrettably, been in the business of moonshots sufficiently. Our region, in an age of rapid and bold digital innovation globally, has been slow to digitize and timid to innovate. Not all, but not across the scale. It's not a bad place. Indeed, for the most part, it is a very good place for us to live. You and I know that. But without the safety net afforded to other countries, we have been hesitant to strive to be the best or the first in this region. Our governments, our financial institutions, our schools, our churches, and our agencies have been regrettably too hostile to risk and resistant to new actions and new ideas. But why? I ask you why? After all, this is the region that produced George Headley, C.L.R. James, Errol Barrow, Kincaid, Eric Williams, Robert Nesta Marley, Sir Arthur Lewis, Brian Lara, Derek Walcott, Naipaul, Armour Trading, Viv Richards, Shirley Chisholm. I could go on and on. Usain Bolt, the Right Excellent Sir Gary Sobers, and of course our own Robin Rihanna Fenty. We are a region that has already solved some of the most difficult of the so-called developed world's problems with our universal education. People don't talk about it. Our universal education. Our universal health care. People don't talk about it. Our stable political system. People take it for granted. Our freedom of choice and social partnerships. Hardly ever mentioned. We are a place of critical, creative thinkers. We like to abuse one another and we like to use colorful language. We are revolutionaries in our own way. We are inventors, artists, and pioneers. We have already produced the best and we've already been the first. But why do we resist scale? Why do we not understand that scale is at the heart of transformation? How as a collective can we not put our own perspective and flair on this digital revolution? My friends, simply put, how can we pivot? I suspect that you, like most of the Caribbean youth of today, already know the answer. The future of the world, and by extension, our future, the future of the Caribbean, is largely in technology. In 1994, when I became Minister of Education and Youth and Culture, I reflected then that we were in a position where we could literally use technology not for its own sake, but deeply use it as an embedded engine of every sector of our region. I asked us then to remember that it was a powerful tool, but in so remembering, to remember that it did not alter the essence of who we are, because who we are is determined by our values, and our values determine how we use that tool. True prosperity and transformation, my friends, will not come from Caribbean technologies until we have the cultural confidence that Peter Minshall exhibited when he put stilt walkers at the Barcelona Olympiad. We must have the cultural confidence to develop technologies of our own kind on a timeline that plays to our strengths and which captures the imagination of our own people. We must become a developer of ideas and technologies that allow us to overcome the everyday disadvantages of being a small island developing state. That will allow us to overcome our small population, our small economy, our vulnerability to natural disasters, and our very difficult history of slavery and colonialism. The late Professor, the Right Honourable Owen Arthur, former Prime Minister of Barbados, once asked, in what sense is McDonald's superior to a fish fry at Oystins? Or in what sense is jerk pork in Jamaica inferior to McDonald's? Or Laba and Creek water in Guyana? Why should we yield on the preservation of our cultural icons, that traditional way of life inherent in small states, which is so relaxing and rewarding, and which makes living in a small state such an unforgettable experience to become just another cultural and social statistics? Those were Owen's words. COVID-19 and its impact on our tourism-dependent economies means the time is now for regional governments to develop and implement disruptive and forward-thinking program concepts, policies, and platforms that fast-track the development of a Caribbean technology economy. At the core of this, my friends, transformation must be the sustainable maximization of our most highly valued assets. You know them, and I know them. Our people, our ideas, our geography, our climate, yes, our climate, and our culture. It is only when we increase our cultural confidence and thus maximize the power of our creative imagination, that we will be able to build technologies that unlock our region's true potential. We will begin to see that because we are surrounded on all sides by the sea, SEA, our ocean economy is primed for expansion. We will begin to see that our lack of scale steers us to focus on producing quality rather than quantity, thus enhancing our high-value manufacturing sector and what ought to be a propensity for research and development. We will also see that the constant threat of hurricanes makes us global experts, yes, in the business of climate resilience. My friends, in the immortal words of that great Trinidadian luminary, C.L.R. James, I quote, "Nobody knows what the Caribbean population is capable of. Nobody has ever attempted to find out," unquote. I say the duty is ours together to pivot right now to find out what that capable Caribbean person is.
And sound words from Mia Motley there, words that entice the Caribbean region leaders and its people to unify, to catapult ourselves into a new era, an era of tomorrow. I'll take a bit of a commercial break, and when I come back, perhaps you can give me a call. I know the technician, he left, and he should be back at about 10 o'clock, but I think I'm assuming that perhaps some of our lines are working. I'm going to find that out as we go along. Okay, I see that my phone's ringing here. Hello?
Good morning.
Good day.
Yes.
And
good
how
day.
are you? How are you today?
I'm very well, thanks.
Okay.
Two things. First, that earlier segment about the travel restrictions list.
Yes.
Right. It was, in fact, not the White House, but the State Department spokesperson
Yeah.
who indicated that no such list existed.
Okay. Okay.
But
Thanks
she
for that.
did say that things like visas and travel restrictions and so on are on the review as stipulated by, I think it was President Trump.
Okay.
Calling for that. So that is where we're at.
Yeah.
No list exists currently. It is not to say that something may not be coming down the road.
Yes. Okay.
Right. So I think that can quell that for the moment.
Well, thanks. That's a good heads up. Yeah.
With regards to Mayor Motley's speech, we're in a quandary, We, as she observed, small, we have problems of scale and so on. And in addition to that, we're right under the belly of the country, one of the largest country, not the largest in terms of landmass, but in terms of the most powerful country, shall we say, that leads in innovation and certainly in terms of economic might, economic and military might.
Yeah.
And we can add to that cultural might as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Most definitely.
And that is what I think hinders our progress, the kind of progress that I think Mayor Motley yearns for.
Yeah.
In that we take the easy route out and just copy what our big neighbor to the north, the good and the bad and the ugly, just copy that and adopt it.
Yeah.
Okay? Because that's easy to do. That's easier to do than actually think out of the box and do things differently. Okay?
Yeah.
So that, I think that is our problem. Because, take for instance our economic problem. One may ask, okay, we have problems of scale, but certainly it doesn't mean that we can't handle technology, well, certain aspects of the technology. The thing is, if you look at the average person, how they use technology at their disposal, it's not in a good way, you know. I mean, I would venture to say most people just use it for entertainment.
Yeah,
if you check the number of things, and I heard you say the other day, you're not really addicted to your phone.
Yeah.
But if you check the number of things that come in from your phone, a lot of them, it's really pure junk. It doesn't help you.
Most definitely.
Right? Yet we're kind of addicted to them. We can't resist opening them. We know it's going to be not going to really contribute to our well-being or our advancement. But
Mr. McMahon, you're so right, because every day we hear about smartphone, and someone reminded me the phone is as smart as the individual who has the phone. And as you said, a lot of individuals, most individuals, they use the phone for gossip. You see them passing around pictures of porn or that. And there's so much, as you said, there's so much knowledge. The whole world is at our disposal, but we don't utilize it.
Yeah. Right? And, well, that's at the individual level, okay? And we should be called out for it.
Yeah.
Okay? It's going to be much harder to change individuals at the individual level, right? Because we live in a democratic society, and you can't tell people what to do.
Yeah.
Okay? You can only persuade. You can't force, right? Not in a democratic country.
Yeah.
Okay? But at the same time, our leaders can do a lot more to change our habits and spur that kind of revolution that you talked about.
Yes, yes.
Okay? Because, let's take a practical case. We stood here. We at one point, we had, I think we were the biggest exporter of electronics and so on, to those kinds of things,
yeah,
to the U.S.
Yes.
Right? And we stood by here and watched the factories just one by one leave with nothing to replace them. Okay? One, I remember, for example, left because they said the technology had changed, and they gave people the option of learning the new technology and keeping the factory here, and the people apparently opted to take their payout and leave.
Yeah, yeah.
And so the factory left. Okay? I mean, honestly, I felt the government should have stepped in at that point and done more to encourage people to become familiar with the technology and at least try and keep keep that establishment here.
All right?
Instead of just giving up on it. Because, of course, people are daunted by change, and if they're accustomed to doing something for years and years, and you suddenly ask, well, you're going to change midstream and do something different, yes, they're going to be blowback.
Yeah, speaking to the factories, I remember, like I said, I worked at 2 of those factories when I was younger, and one was Cajola, I think it is, Cajola Cristodot, and the other is Jaro, and if I'm not mistaken, Jaro still exists.
Yes, Jaro is still here.
And how is it that Jaro? Because I remember when I was working at Jaro, the pay was, for a technician like myself, the pay was damn good.
Of course.
The pay. I mean,
there.
I was taking home.
They had a bad rep because of the working conditions that were stipulated.
Yeah.
Right. But not all of them. Not all of them were like that. I mean, I worked at one as well.
Yeah.
And we had really decent pay.
Could you
good bonuses.
Could you
and not
imagine?
only that, we had medical
Insurance, yeah.
insurance,
Mhm.
vision, dentistry, the whole range of medical insurance, and we also had a pension scheme.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
I was very young, and I was taking home easily. I was taking home about $600-700 per week, and that's way back. I can't even remember. So that the pay was good,
Yeah, I mean, it might have been not have been good for everybody, but there was room to advance, and you got paid according to your production, and which.
Well, it wasn't good for everybody, because I remember seeing the pay slip of some of the women, and man, I couldn't believe what they were being paid.
There was that. There was that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the fact is, when you looked at, because we were struck by a number of hurricanes, that sector was the one that recovered
quickest.
Rapidly after a hurricane, because
yeah.
They didn't depend on didn't have to deal with erosion of beaches and
Yeah.
Disruption in travel and all of that. Okay, and so I'm saying at that point when we had those companies, we were pretty well diversified, okay, in terms of the contribution to the economy.
Yeah, to the GDP, yeah.
Right. Okay, and we sat here and just watched them go without trying to, first of all, keep what we had here or replace them with pretty much, the more advanced type of factory of production.
Yes.
Okay, and I blame lack of vision in terms of the leadership.
I agree.
Because we've had relations with Taiwan, which is also a leader in that field for years, since independence. Okay, and a lot of the help that we got from them concentrated on agriculture.
Yeah.
Well, at some point you have to pivot. And when we look at how much they've helped in agriculture, yes, they've helped a lot, but have we really learned from it? Have we really gained from it?
Good question.
We still have so much problems in our agriculture. Take for instance that Eco Park, a great establishment that had so much promise,
Yeah.
and it's just limping along, from what I can see. We have not been able to build on what they've taught us. But it was up to us. And I was going to say, well, maybe when they see that, they say, well, there's no hope for this small island.
Perhaps.
The people not, maybe they
they're not motivated.
But it was up to us.
Yeah.
It was up to us to say, look, we want to pivot to high tech, whether it's programming, whether it's I don't know the intricacies involved in chip making,
Yeah.
or manufacture of whatever it is. But I'm sure they are because of the modular way in which things are made now. There must have been some aspect of that construction. If it's solar panels, sure, some aspect of that construction that we could have had here, if the government had insisted on it.
Yeah.
But to sit back and I don't know. To be quite honest, what Motley didn't really say in that discourse is that we haven't had the kind of leadership that can get us to where she wants us to get.
Well, she said
That is the problem.
she said it rather indirectly, because being diplomatic and all that kind of stuff. But to strengthen your point, I'm sure you remember when the technical training happened around at the colleges, and a lot of young men learned carpentry, mechanic, plumbing, that kind of stuff. And like you said, just as what happened on the industrial side, the system, the governance system, just stay there and watch that fade away into nothing. So now we have.
Because they didn't provide the kinds of investment that would employ these people, and so they went into other activities.
Yes, yeah.
You know, it's so fortunate. And another aspect of this is the fact that we've had billions from our CBI, and instead of using them to create productive activity, right? Long-term, sustainable, productive activity. They use it for handouts and giveaways, which disappear in no time.
You know,
and the people are no better for it.
That's it. We have another caller. Don't go. Hello to the other caller.
Yes. Good morning, Mr. Moderator. Good morning, Mr.
McMahon. Yes.
Yes. Morning.
Say, how are you? How are you folks doing?
We're fine. And you?
I am humble and peaceful.
Yes.
Well, I will chime in this discussion. The question is, what happened in the past, whether it was good or bad, where we are now and where we are going moving forward. Okay?
Yeah.
And looking at what challenges we have ahead of us. Okay? First of all, we have leaders, and our leaders are not there just to dictate and sit down and allow a negative flow in your country. Okay? A leader, in my view, have to be proactive regardless of what portfolio they are carrying. And we must make sure good, striving for better, to the best, but the best always yet to come. So that's a challenge in itself there. Now, into retain and strive for a sustainable island, resiliency. Like I said, it all stems from proactiveness. Because our leaders, each and every one, they can take examples of other countries who is prospering. I heard mention Taiwan, technology. Where are we right now? And how we are going to move to be a part of the challenges we face in terms of technology, so that our people can be some sort of knowledgeable.
Let me ask you a question, because you use a phrase there, and I hear it bandied about a lot recently: sustainable development. Both you and Mr. McMahon, I want you to give me your take on what sustainable development means or should mean for us as a developing state, because I think they're just saying we want to be sustainable, but we, the people on the ground, aren't really seeing the intricacies being put into place so that we can look forward and say, okay, I can see where from here moving forward we are going to be sustainable, either in agriculture, either in energy, and so on and so forth. So I want you to answer for me, say for me what you feel sustainable development means and should mean, and then I want Mr. McMahon to have a take on that.
Okay. First of all, I will invest into my people that the way to go is to seek what is benefiting to us moving forward. And I'm going to embrace on the technology. But first, remember, we don't have anything. Apart from our land home, we can be self-subsistent and even to become exportable. But it all go back to leadership matters.
But wait. I'll ask you to do two things. One, explain for me, from your perspective, what does sustainable development mean to you, and how do we get it those are the two questions I want you to deal with. What does sustainable development mean to you, and how do we get it?
In my view, sustainable have to come from proactiveness. You go and you seek. And when you seek, and you're not going to go and seek anything, you're going to seek what is benefiting to you and your country and what makes sense. So just that in itself, being proactive, and that's mileage. Okay? That is the missing thing. Because look at this situation right now. What is benefiting to the country that was seek of proactiveness to sustain?
Okay. Mr. McMahon, you try to answer the question now. What does sustainable development mean to you, and how do we move forward to get it?
Well, to me, it certainly means looking far into the future.
Yes.
How do you make sure that your country, your island, and all its systems, economic, political, and social systems, are able to survive and thrive way into the future? In other words, you have to have some kind of goals, targets, those kinds of things, and you have to be visionary, be able to predict stuff.
Yeah.
I think that's what he meant by being proactive.
Yes, that's what he meant.
What it's going to be. And this idea of sustainability, maybe we hear it more now, but they had the sustainable goals, the worldwide sustainable goals for ages. When I say ages, I mean at least a decade or two ago.
Yeah.
Right? So it's nothing new. It may be new in terms of our emphasis on it now and making it a buzzword and so on.
Yeah.
But it has been there. And how to achieve it? There's also a blueprint for how to achieve it, including small island development states, what they call SIDS, like us.
Yes.
Right? There was a blueprint to achieve it, where you look at your goals and try to attain them by a certain timeline.
Yes.
Okay? So it's not that we can't. What's important, I think, and is to make sure that built into any idea of sustainability is not that you take what is great now, because our tourism is great now, but you take that and try to look at where it would be 20 years down the road.
Yes.
What changes we expect, and be able to adapt to it. The adaptability should be built in to sustainability, not that you keep what's good now, because we know what's good now may not be good 10 years from now. I mean, look at our CBI.
Yes.
It was great a couple of years ago. Now it's not so great.
Yeah.
So we have to be nimble in our approach to sustainability. Can't be something works great now, and so we're going to keep that. And we have this idea too, diversification. You know how long we've been talking about diversification, diversifying to agriculture. It has not been happening.
Yes.
Okay, and so what has to happen in our case, in our thrust for sustainability, is implementation. How to make things happen.
That's
not
it.
just talk about them, not just use the buzzwords, but how we can actually get things done. I think that is where we've been lacking. We're very good going to conferences and mouthing off the buzzwords and so on, but translating that into action
has not been forthcoming. Yes, I agree, and I like the way that you sum it up in terms of what it is and what it and how do we get it. The other caller made a statement when he said we have nothing, but that is not really true, because as Mayor Motley said, our biggest asset is the people. We have people who are innovative, who are ambitious, and the system, the governance system must find ways to utilize the one thing that we have in abundance, which is people. Yes, go ahead.
With the respect, let me use an excerpt that you just said. When I said we have nothing, okay, I don't mean we have nothing, so to speak.
Yes.
But what I'm saying is, what is there to sustain the economy, the people? The people is the economy. Without people, you don't have an economy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And Mr. McMahon has summed it up. I will 100, and if there's more than 100%, I will agree what he said. Because we speak in the same language. Okay? He may add, and I may add. But we are on the same page. But the problem is, our government leaders, yes, they want their seat, but what was in their dream, in their fortune moving forward for the people?
That is the big question. What was their projections for the future?
Absolutely, not self-aggrandization, okay, for the people. Because what he said, the government came from the people, for the people, and is the people. And I don't see representation in that. They lost their path. They have lost their vision. And that is a problem in the country. Leadership matters.
Okay,
and
let me...
I personally...
Well, I would add to that I think we've tended to just look at the next 5 years.
Yeah.
Get through the 5 years.
Yes.
So just get reelected, right? We don't have the long-term vision in mind. And again, I mean, in all honesty, you can't do nothing unless you're in power. So that, it's not that the politics and so on isn't important. But there's a preoccupation with that, which I think is unhealthy for us. As a developing country, it's not getting us where we want to go. When we look at our politics, how we practice our politics for decades, nothing much has changed, you know.
Yeah.
Not a thing has changed.
Recently...
We mouth off the thing, good governance and that kind of thing. And the approach to operating government, how we operate government,
how
we deal with political issues, it's still the same.
Yeah. Recently, there was a I finished work and stepped downstairs, and across George Street I heard a loudspeaker, and the PAM was having a meeting, and so I went closer to hear what they said for a while, and I heard individuals saying they don't have visions, which is the PAM referring to the present system. They don't have vision. Get rid of them, make them a one-term government, and give us the chance to... And I was thinking to myself, yeah, it's good to hear that kind of rhetoric, but what is your plan when you get in? Because we always hear them, as you both of you have said, when they are in opposition, they say, we're going to do this and we're going to do that, and there's this waiting and that waiting. But when they get in, we see that they did not really have a plan. So they're just playing it by ear.
Well,
Mr. Moderator, to be fair, I will add to what you're saying.
What I would suggest to as a panacea for that is, if we, in 5 years, you're supposed to be able to at least see how things are going and get some kind of idea of what the vision of whoever is governing, get some idea of what their vision is like.
Yes, I agree.
If that is not evident after 5 years, why keep them in office?
Yes.
Right? In other words, what I'm saying is, I'm not comparing let's say, those in office with those who are in opposition now or anything like that.
Yes.
What I'm saying is, if there is obviously no Mandela or no Gandhi or no. You pick your favorite leader.
Yeah, Malcolm
right?
X.
That to galvanize behind. Okay, if he or she cannot give you, cannot
motivate you. Yes.
To the point where I got to follow this guy. He knows what he's about. He knows what he's saying. He has an idea for the future. I am sure that our children's future are going to be secure with a vision like that.
Yes.
Right? If you can't display that, then get somebody else.
I agree.
Why keep around a mundane person who is just ordinary?
Yeah.
I mean, I would think that we elect persons who are exceptional.
Yes.
To lead us.
Definitely.
Not just pick anybody off the street. If you were going to pick anybody, if you were going to do that, we might as well lead by poll. Just lead by poll.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Mr. McMahon.
Let's just have a poll and
okay, Mr. McMahon. Let the other caller say your piece, and I'm going to take a break shortly.
Yeah. Point of information. I have my parliamentary procedures without being in parliament. But let me also add to all what was said. The thing is, the vision is what must put forth first at hand. And look at the tradition of all these political parties in St. Kitts and Nevis, and maybe other islands, but I'm speaking to St. Kitts and Nevis. They all wait at the last moment to put their vision ahead. Why not do it now and let people ingest and digest? Okay? Why wait so late?
That is what Mr. McMahon is saying. You're both saying the same thing.
I'm 100%.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say it in different. The manifesto, the political arena is about to get started. It already started. But if you are rooting, believe in something, and promises or comfort for fools is not in your domain, put your manifesto ahead. All of them. Okay? And people will be able to make up their minds apart from being bought out.
But we're not speaking just about we're not just speaking just about manifestos, because you can bring what Mr. McMahon is saying, and I concur, is when you get into that seat during your first 2 years, 3 years, going up to the 5 years, we must see some results. Ordinary is not going to cut it. Yeah, bring in manifestos. We've seen the most fantastic manifestos that don't amount to anything. We want action.
I know. Manifestation
we have this thing
that
about
action.
Our choosing. I don't think we choose our leaders properly. Okay? We choose them because we like them, or they have the gift of the gab. They talk well and that kind of thing. That
election can be bought. Election can be bought.
Right? It's got to be more. They have to have more depth than that. We have to have more depth than that in choosing our leaders. Because if we keep on doing it this way, we're going to be saddled with the same type of leadership and the same type of results all the time.
That's it.
It's got to be different.
I agree. Okay, I'm going to have to take a bit of a break. Take care. Thanks for the interjection. The conversation, as always, gets, interesting and as we go along. I'm going to take a bit of a break, and when I come back, I'm going to wrap it up for Island Tea for today.
WINN is 98.9. 98.9 is WINN FM.
Want to earn your degree from a U.S. university? Qualifying Caribbean residents can study 100% online at DeVry University with 50% tuition savings and a waived application fee. Don't miss this incredible opportunity. Restrictions apply. Visit partner.devry.edu/Caribbean today.
It's the sale you've been waiting for. Happening now. Discounts galore at your favorite Hosford store. Hosford's Furniture and Appliances, Ashley's Furniture Home Store, Hosford's Building and Nevis Centers, and Hosford's Auto Parts and Accessories. Get ready for discounts galore. Store discounts, big discounts, small discounts, VAT discounts, and more. We're slashing prices with at least 4% VAT off and up to 20% off store-wide on furniture, appliances, auto parts, building materials, and hardware, and so much more. Discounts galore across all Hosford stores. And that's not all. Customer discounts and even Value Club member savings mean the deals just keep getting better. Whether you're upgrading your home, tackling your next project, or fixing your ride, Hosford's has you covered. Take advantage of the discounts galore at all Hosford stores today. At Hosford's Furniture and Appliances, Ashley's Furniture Home Store, Hosford's Building and Nevis Centers, and Hosford's Auto Parts and Accessories. Hurry in! These offers won't last long. Don't miss out on the biggest savings of the year. Visit any Hosford store now and start saving with discounts galore in every store. Big deals, big savings, and more. Terms and conditions apply.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. WINN FM.
Let's stop child sexual abuse. The age of consent is 16, yet our 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, and 10-year-olds are becoming victims of sexual abuse and exploitation, which is being forced into sexual activity before they are old enough to decide. This causes mental, emotional, and physical harm to our children. Parents, it is your responsibility to protect and to educate your children. Develop a relationship of trust with your child. If they trust you, they will tell you. Child sexual abuse cannot be our norm. We must work together to correct this. Help us prevent, help us protect, help us prosecute. A message by the Department of Probation and Child Protection Services. Contact us at 467-1311 or 662-6833 for more information.
Welcome to Island Tea with your faves. Keep it locked in with us for your daily dose of hot tea, only on WINN Media 98.9.
And I'm back with you and just about ready to wrap things up for Island Tea for today. As per usual, topics have been enlightening and interesting, and the interjections by the callers have also been enlightening. And here's hoping that our discourse, daily discourse, can somehow result in our people learning and garnering enough information so that we can, as Mayor Motley suggested, prepare ourselves to catapult, to slingshot into the future. As always, it has been a pleasure. And, well, let me see. I see my phone's lighting up, so let me see if I can indulge. Hello? Okay, lost those calls. Do call back quickly if you want to have a bit of a say, as I'm just about ready to wrap things up for today. But if you call in on time before I start playing okay, so here we go. Good day to you.
Yes, Quinn?
Yes.
Yes, I would like to say quickly. First of all, when Mayor Motley quoted Bob Marley as saying that let us liberate our mind from mental slavery, with all due respect, according to the truth of the Bible, only the Spirit of the Lord could do that. And the Bible also said where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. Only the Spirit of the Lord could liberate us, our minds, from mental slavery. And not only that, when he also says, what does it gain to profit the world and lose the soul? Well, to lose the soul in hell, that is the most important thing. Nothing worth that. The world doesn't worth that. That's what the Bible says. But lastly, quickly, also concerning what the Bible says, when Mia Motley spoke about Caribbean people need to become producers and innovators and that sort of stuff, with all due respect, with our system of government control of this and government control of that, providing this, providing that, and everything depends on government control and that's also where the market and so is concerned, that actually hinders people from being developers and creators and that sort of stuff. What we need, if you want to unleash the creativity and innovation, and so that is in the Caribbean people, you need to do what the Bible says and implement a free market capitalist economy with at least your taxes being minimized. Better yet, as the Bible says, being 100% voluntary. This is how you would unleash the creative and innovative and so on powers in the Caribbean, not the way we're doing now. The way we are doing it now, and by the way, sustainability is just a code word for big government, government controlling this, government providing this, government doing all kind of stuff, running the economy, all kind of stuff. That's all sustainability is, a code word for such, a code word for socialism and Marxism. And that kills innovation in people. That kills creativity in people. Free market capitalism with at least taxes be minimized, or at least, well, the Bible were better yet, taxes being 100% voluntary and with limited government. That is what brings out the best in people where innovation, creativity, and so on is concerned. And that's the only how such would maximize that in the Caribbean, in bringing out such in the Caribbean people, not the way we are doing things right now.
Okay.
Okay, Quint.
Okay. And that's how I'm going to end things for today. Do take care. Continue to enjoy life. Live it to the fullest, but don't overdo anything. And here's towards a brighter future, a brighter tomorrow for all of us.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. WINN FM.
You ever hear earthquake call and say, "Hello, Miss Lee, yes, it's me, earthquake, I come in Tuesday around 10? No, sir.